राजा की आत्मा ईवीएम में है।
और वोट का बाद वोट का मशीन भी संभाल के रखना, नहीं तो सेंट्रल पुलिस को देखे उसमें चीप घुसा के फेंकता है।
जहाँ पे ये मशीनें तैयार होती हैं उनके कई डायरेक्टर जो है ना आरएसएस के लोग बनाते हैं।
समाजवादी सरकार बनाइए, ईवीएम हटाइए।
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From a chip in the EVM to RSS is making EVM machines, the bahanas by the opposition are getting shriller and sharper. Just a day before phase 6 of the polls, another poll bahana has come crashing down. The highest court of our land, the Supreme Court, has rejected two pleas by the opposition and its ecosystem. Supreme Court outrightly rejected all contentions by petitioners, ADR and other pleas by TMC's Mahua Moitra to release seat-wise voter turnout and make data based on Form 17C public. The Supreme Court accepted the Election Commission's concerns that baseless suspicions were being raised during polls. In fact, in a scathing criticism, the Supreme Court has said, and I quote, "Why bring the issue to the Supreme Court during polls and not before? A plea can't be based on media reports and Election Commission press notes. To reveal seat-wise data is like, aa bail mujhe maar. We have to exercise some caution while polls are already on. It is the wrong time to intervene and calls for a hands-off approach. A PIL is not a personal interest litigation or a private interest litigation." These are the sharp statements made by the Supreme Court. But despite the apex court questioning the timing and vested interests in the PIL, the opposition is still continuing to question the democratic process. Listen in.
मशीन के पास तो सब कुछ है ना, तो अगर आप रिजल्ट डिक्लेयर कर दोगे और ये रिकॉर्ड मशीन में ही रहेगा और किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा, तो कैसे पता चलेगा कि अवैध तरीके से वोटिंग हुई या अवैध तरीके से कोई प्रत्याशी को डिक्लेयर किया गया कि वो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट बन गया?
You know, it's incomprehensible that the simple need for transparency is not understood by the enlightened commissioners of the Election Commission. I'm truly surprised by this because I don't see who gains from hiding this.
बहुत निराश है, बहुत दुख के साथ कहना पड़ता है कि चुनाव आयोग निष्पक्षता से अपना काम नहीं कर रहा। हम शिकायत करते रहते हैं चुनाव आयोग को, उसको नजरअंदाज किया जाता है।
ये दिखाता है कि जो हमारे इंडिपेंडेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस थे, कैसे उन्हें प्रधानमंत्री अपने ग्रिप में लेकर काम करना चाहते हैं।
But is there a pattern to the PILs filed during elections? Let's get you a Newshour fact check. 5 days before phase 6 of the 2019 polls, the plea by 21 opposition parties was rejected by the Supreme Court. Their PIL was to tally VVPAT with 50% of the EVMs. Today, 1 day before the phase 6 polls of the 2024 elections, the Supreme Court has rejected the PIL by ADR and Mahua Moitra. Even the lawyer was the same. In 2019's PIL, Abhishek Manu Singhvi represented the 21 opposition parties. The same lawyer, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who is also a Congress leader, represented Mahua Moitra today in the Supreme Court. Finally, in 2019 as well as in 2024, the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, has rejected these so-called public interest litigations. In 2019, the Supreme Court asked, how many days will we hear the same matter? And today the Supreme Court has said, let's trust the Election Commission and not intervene during the process of polls. So, ladies and gentlemen, the legitimate question that we're asking on the Newshour tonight, has Vipaksh Bahana before 4th of June flopped? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, Hitesh Jain, senior advocate, Ram Pratap Singh, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate in the Supreme Court. And my first question goes to Ram Pratap Singh ji. Ram Pratap Singh ji, my question is very simple. Why is it a pattern that the question on EVMs, on the process of elections have become almost similar in the 2019 elections and now in the 2024 elections? Why does this come up just as the Supreme Court noticed in 2019 and today that this happens only in the middle of polls? And when the poll process is on, the Supreme Court last time around did not intervene. It is not intervening this time around as well. Last time, you wanted the entire poll process changed by the number of VVPATs that would be counted. Now it is data of the Election Commission that you want, XYZ, despite the fact that poll agents on every side sign when every EVM is sealed and put in a box. I want to ask you, is this only to create doubts in the process of the democratic system that's running in this country?
Thank you, Navika. Elections and free and fair elections are the essence of any constitutional, basis of any constitutional democracy. And mark my words, elections have to be free and fair, but also should be seen to be as free and fair. And that's very, very important. And today's Supreme Court judgment, I welcome it in the sense that they said that in the middle of elections, when 5 phases are already done, they don't want to interfere in the functioning of the Election Commission. And that's why they have reposed full faith in the Election Commission. But having said that, the Election Commission, which is also a constitutional authority, has to ensure that the common man, the common voter, and all the political parties in the political domain in India feel comfortable and confident about the whole election process. So it's not some sort of a fear-mongering by the opposition parties before every election that the election process is not fair. But this time round, I mean, a very, very scientific thing, the way the elections are conducted in India. On the day of the polling, all the EVM machines are sealed by the returning officer. The number of votes polled are noted, and representatives of all opposition parties present sign on those EVMs. And that data in this stage of technology and AI should not take 5 days, 7 days to collate, number one. Number two, it should not be the case that the difference in collation on the day of or the end of the polling related to when 5 or 7 days later when it is put on the website should not tantamount to a difference of 5 or 7 or 2%. So that's where the opposition is getting worried that maybe there is something which is not so obvious and maybe the system is not very transparent.
But my friend Ram Pratap Singh ji, this issue has been raised by the opposition several times. When you win, you don't have these questions. When you lose, and that's why this question comes back every time on this debate. Are you bad losers? Do you want to change the systems just because you think things are not going your way? Shehzad Poonawala, how many times is it going to be tested, tried? And they talk about the Election Commission being a constitutional body. What about the fact that the Supreme Court itself has rejected these pleas again and again and again in 2019 and in 2024?
You know, Navika, it is less about transparency and more about conspiracy. That they want to smell a conspiracy whenever the verdict of any institution doesn't go their way. And by the way, this is not the only institution which they are now besmirching. Actually, when the army announces surgical strike, they raise a question. When any other institution raises any other issue, they raise a question on those institutions. When Supreme Court gives a verdict which is not favorable to them, they raise a question on the Supreme Court. Otherwise, Supreme Court is fine on the electoral bonds issue. So it is actually about what is convenient for me and what is needed to be done to create an alibi for an impending defeat. And therefore, 40 odd times they have gone against this entire election commission, EVM, VVPATs, 100% match kar lo, Today they have gone with a new requirement that the Form 17C data should be disclosed, and just now somebody was saying that there should not be a difference of 5 to 7%. First of all, that is not factually true. Phase 1, the provisional voting was 65%, the final voting was 66.14. Phase 2 was 64.2, final voting was 66.71. Phase 3 was 64.4, final voting was 65.68. So you get the trend. It is not more than 1 or 2% difference, and that is naturally it can happen. It has always happened. But I have 2 or 3 specific questions. Today some people went and said that ये Form 17C का जो data है, जो हर polling booth पे polling agent को मिलता है, why doesn't the EC not upload it directly? Well, the EC and the Supreme Court has agreed with the reasoning of the EC, but I have another question. Supposing I am a political party, I am contesting 10 Lok Sabha seats. On one Lok Sabha seat, there are about 2,000 polling booths. So there are 20,000 polling stations. Form 17C I have. I have all the Form 17Cs from my candidate. As a political party, I can upload that data if I want on my website. Supposing if it's a big party like Congress, which is contesting, let's say, 543 seats, what stops the Congress party from getting all their candidates' polling agents to give them the Form 17C and put it up? If they are so eager about transparency, and that is their sum and substance of the argument, what is stopping any party that is contesting all the seats, whose candidates' polling agents will get all the Form 17C signed, put it up? Who's stopping you? But something you have not done before 2014, now you want suddenly EC to do. This is because they want to only create suspicion and doubt so that when they lose the election, they have excuse or alibi. Otherwise, tell me, why can't they, who party contests 543 seats, why can't they ask the candidates to give the Form 17?
Fair point. Let me get in Sanjay Hegde. I'm coming back to you, Ram Pratap Singh ji, but Sanjay Hegde, you're an advocate. I want to ask you, when the Supreme Court says, why do you come in the middle of polls? Why does this question arise just before the 6th phase of polling, just like it has happened this time and in the previous elections? Clearly, the Supreme Court is seeing a pattern, and clearly it says that these issues, if you do have, and it's a time-tested operation of the Election Commission, if any changes are required, why can't they be settled a month or 2 before elections? Is there a deliberate attempt to somehow or the other take away the completely, set process where 8 lakh people have to be trained to do a certain thing a certain way suddenly in the middle of elections?
Well, the first thing is that this same format was being used earlier. 17C data was being put on the website earlier. After people matched that data with other data and pointed out discrepancies, this time they have not been putting it. So that's the first thing. The deviation is not on any other person's part, it is on the part of the Election Commission. Secondly, I heard Shahzad say that why don't you all collect the data from all 543 constituencies? No party, including the BJP, is contesting from all 543 constituencies. Most of the candidates do not have voting agents in all the polling booths. The resources or the data is anyway with the Election Commission. It is not private property of the Chief Election Commissioner or anyone like that. It is there and it is there precisely as a check on voting machines malfunctioning. So if the Election Commission were to put out all the data at one place, it would be easy not only for the political parties, it would be easy for the general members of civil society and the public at large to monitor and be satisfied for themselves that there is indeed a free and fair election which is being conducted. Recently in Karnataka, civil society's bodies have come together and said that, look, the EC, there are doubts, so therefore we will do our best to monitor.
All right.
Now, as far as the ADR is concerned, just let me finish. As far as the ADR is concerned, it has been a body which has been constantly going to the court, getting various judgments with regard to election law. It is because of the ADR judgment that you now know the assets of politicians. You know what their educational qualifications and other qualifications are. So the ADR is not some Johnny-come-lately. The ADR's petition was pending. Today, the Supreme Court has not passed any judgment. It has only adjourned the matter beyond the elections. They say that as far as this particular round is concerned, we do not think it is an appropriate time to interfere. We will see this at a later point of time.
So Hitesh Jain, let me come in here and let me ask you. While Sanjay Hegde says that the Supreme Court has not disposed of the matter, I want to ask, was it us or was it the Supreme Court which made an observation that this is almost sounding like a private interest litigation? These are the Supreme Court's words. These are what the honorable judges said. And nobody can raise a question because the same attempt was made, every time there is a new Bahana. Sometimes you want 50% of the VVPATs. This time you wanted 100% of the VVPATs. That question was also thrown out by the Supreme Court. Now this one, the 17C question comes up. I want to ask you, how many Agni Parikshas will the polling process have to go through before it can actually satisfy all the opposition parties?
So I'm glad today Sanjay Hegde has not equated the Supreme Court of India with Supreme Court of Pakistan and China. Because today, obviously, the Supreme Court has refused to grant any relief. So on an odd date, it becomes a Supreme Court of Pakistan. And then on an even date, it becomes a savior of democracy. Now, second thing, today is 24th. You have another 10 days. In 10 days, they can come with at least, they should come with at least 20. In India Alliance, suppose they have some 16, 17 parties. They should file minimum 17 petitions, because all these petitions, the intention behind filing this petition is to discredit the results of the elections, not only in India but also internationally. The fait accompli is clearly there. Prime Minister Modi is set to be elected with a thumping majority, and he will be elected as the Prime Minister of the country for the third time. Now, how do the opposition party justify? This time they have all come together. So initially they undermined the institutions, including the investigating agencies, judiciary, Supreme Court, all the institutions were undermined. Then you undermine the processes. Then you start with the EVM bogey. Then you start with the VVPAT. Then you start with the counting machinery. Now, I will give you one more example. Let me give them a benefit of a doubt. They want in the interest of saving the democracy and the transparency, they wanted to move the petition. Now, that is the same body who had moved earlier for the electoral bond. What prevented them to go in the month of December, January itself? Because maybe they were under the illusion that they are going to win the elections. So why demand the transparency and all? Today, the timing is suspect because they are aware about the fait accompli of the results, what is going to be the results of the election. Therefore, to discredit the results, this whole, you can see, as Shehzad rightly said, you undermine the institution, undermine the process, and now you want to undermine the results of the elections. Well, good luck to them. People are not fooled. I mean, at the end of the day, it is as simple. Every candidate, and Mr. Hegde also made a point that 17C was being uploaded every time, and this is for the first time it is not being uploaded. No, Mr. Hegde, you are wrong. In the past also, 17C has not been uploaded. Give me a single precedent where ECI has uploaded Form 17C. In fact, on the contrary, ECI, and Navika, one more important point. Now, about this voters turnout, in fact, in a greater transparency, ECI started this whole attempt where it came with the app, it is providing the turnout data, it is providing approximate data. Those who are part of the election process, those who have been participating as a polling agent, those who have been running the political parties, those who are not running as a family parties, they are all aware about the process. Every candidate
and I have this app on my phone. The voter turnout data is available in real time, Sanjay Hegde, and you know, in some areas there are far-flung booths, there are places that are far, so you get it, and it's happened. I've covered at least 10 elections, maybe not 10, maybe overstated that, but at least 5 or 6 elections very closely as a reporter. I've seen these voter turnout data being revised and revised and revised because, from far-flung areas, when everything is brought to one place and put in the strong room, it takes time and it gets updated. Where is there a conspiracy in this, Ram Pratap Singh ji? I'm not able to understand. And why does the conspiracy arise when many people think it is advantage Modi?
Can I come in?
So there's
is that question for me?
I want to make
Ram Pratap ji.
There is a conspiracy here, and we are not definitely we are not trying to undermine any institutions here. Let us be very clear. Also, we are not bad losers, as some members on this panel seem to believe. We will be, and I will be present with you in the evening of the 4th to discuss whatever the outcome of the result. And also, some members on this discussion forum seem to know the result already, which to my mind, in any democracy or in any election, you cannot predict what's going to happen. Each election has its own footprint, and the results are there. And coming from here, now to answer your question, that you look at the regional data in terms of discrepancies on the day of polling and then 7 days later. UP seems to be very efficient, which is a very big state. States like Maharashtra, the differences are as high as 7%. States of West Bengal, the differences are in the range of 5 to 6%. Whereas some other states which are more remote and far-flung, the differences are less than 1%. So when Mr. Poonawalla quotes a figure of 1.5 to 1%, he's looking at a national average which discounts the regional differences, and that's what the opposition in those
all right,
different
Shehzad
states is
Poonawalla, please
about.
respond.
And
First of all, if it is a cardinal sin to make predictions, then Akhilesh Yadav had predicted that 403 में से 400 सीट मिलेगी विधानसभा इलेक्शन में समाजवादी पार्टी को. At least one should make serious predictions, not those predictions that Yogendra Yadav would be proud of. Secondly, let me tell you about the regional disparities or whatever disparities he's talking about. What is the basis of his provisional figures? A press release? A media report? What is this provisional figure? Authentic provisional figure कौन सा है? So there is no basis for that. It is just जो मर्जी में आया उसको ले लो. Now I am very shocked, and I want to come to the major point that Sanjay Hegde ji, and I have great respect for him, but he said, and I quote him, that Form 17C was being uploaded previously. And I'm glad that senior counsel Hitesh Jain has exposed him by saying that where is the single incident or precedent where it has been uploaded. By the way, Sanjay Hegde ji, perhaps you might be knowing, or you are deliberately not knowing or misleading. Form 17C is sealed with the EVM machine on the date of the polling after the polling is done. Copies of this are given to the polling agents. So Election Commission does not have a copy with itself to go and upload. In fact, it is a document that it only owes to give to the polling agent or to the candidate. The candidate can demand it, even if he does not have a polling agent. So for you to say that these Form 17Cs were being uploaded, first give us in writing or tell us now statement on Navika show, which is being watched by crores of people, which is the instance where polling agent wise, polling booth wise, the Form 17C, which election it was uploaded. There were elections where internet was not even there in the 1980s, 70s, 60s.
Okay.
Where was this Form 17C,
Sanjay Hegde, respond. Challenge coming your way. Sanjay Hegde, please respond.
Secondly,
countered by both Shehzad and Hitesh Jain.
Before I go there, let's first deal with the Supreme Court judgment, because there have been comments on that.
The basic question. The basic question is 17C was uploaded earlier, not uploaded this time. First answer that one.
Stop heckling.
I'm not heckling. I'm asking you a question.
Let me deal one at a time. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the question, Sanjay Hegde.
I will answer what I want to answer. No.
What?
So listen.
You raised the question.
There was data on 17C which was being uploaded, which then thereafter the Quint and other agencies came out with the entire report with regard to the variations. Thereafter, after the 2019 incident, the Form 17C data which was being collated and totalized and which was put on the website has not been put on. Don't tell me that I'm not asking for individual per voting station for each form being uploaded. Maybe that was not done, but data derived from that was being done in a much more friendly fashion, which citizens groups did not object to. Now,
let me answer this.
The second part is which you interrupted me was with regard to the Supreme Court. The petition was pending in the Supreme Court for quite some time. Thereafter, there was an application filed which was mentioned before the court went on vacation. The Chief Justice said that the matter would be heard even if it took all day and day to sit in the night. The matter has come up before the vacation bench, and the vacation bench has taken a technical plea The technical plea is that this petition was pending. This prayer was asked for earlier in the main petition, and thereafter an interim application for the same prayer is not maintainable. Therefore, we are adjourning it. So we can go right round the circle as to the Supreme
I know
Court
you're a
endorsing
senior
it.
advocate, and I don't
not
wish to
endorsed
cross
anything.
swords with a senior advocate. We don't know when we will need senior advocates on the panel to protect us, whichever side wins these elections. But the fact of the matter is, however much you put in technical and legal terms, the fact is, you went to court today. The matter was thrown out and the Supreme Court made an observation. ये private interest litigation नहीं है. Shehzad Poonawala wants to counter you. I'm coming to you, Hitesh ji. Yes, Shehzad.
First of all, I'm glad that Sanjay ji has very humbly accepted that the individual polling booth data of Form 17C was not being uploaded ever before, because it can't be done. There's no legal mandate with the Election Commission. Senior counsel Hitesh Jain will also confirm that. Please don't interrupt. But let me tell you something else. Now he said that, the absolute data was being put. So let's assume that they want absolute data. I am a party, I'm contesting 10 seats. 10 seats means 2,000 polling booths per seat, 20,000 polling booths. I can very easily, whether I have a polling agent or not, call for that data from the Election Commission, requisition it, tally it, and make sure that this is the kind of absolute number that is there for those 10 seats that I'm contesting. Where is the difficulty? I am not understanding the difficulty. Let me tell you the difficulty. The difficulty with people like Sanjay Hegde ji is that when there used to be till 1990s just one election commissioner, at that time they used to feel ye bahut acha system hai. Today you have 3 election commissioners with the chief election commissioner. They will say no, doubts are being raised. Now then they will say, when MS Gill used to become the minister, even after becoming the chief election commissioner, that time it was a very sundar way of operating things. But today it is all bika hua system. When Naveen Chawla, the complaint was made by the CEC at that time, N. Gopalaswamy, that time Naveen Chawla was a man of great integrity, but today all the election commissioners are bika hua. This kind of selective approach of the government...
Clearly there is a pattern, and clearly there is an attempt somehow or the other to create doubts in the minds of people. Hitesh Jain, with the Supreme Court ruling whether it is an interim order, whether it is maintainable or not maintainable, has this controversy been put to bed now? And has the attempt that this was being done in the middle of elections to somehow doubt the process, has that been exposed?
Well, I think so. If you would have seen the observations made by the honorable judges of the court today, I don't think they were very charitable towards the petitioners. The kind of word about the suspicion over the time, confusion, language like public interest litigation, paisa interest litigation, like the kind of observations, oral observations that were made during the hearing also concludes the impression that was given about the petitioner. But I have one more point. Let me also give them benefit of doubt that they are fair. Now, elections were notified in the month of March, 16th of March precisely, and the first set of the first schedule, the first schedule was 19th April. They could have approached the Supreme Court in the month of March itself, or nothing prevented them to appear in the month of February.
राम प्रताप सिंह जी, पहले क्यों नहीं बोला? और सवाल सिर्फ इतना है, running out of time, सवाल सिर्फ इतना है कि सीता ने भी एक ही अग्नि परीक्षा दी थी. अब इलेक्शन कमीशन को कितनी देनी पड़ेगी?
नहीं और 20 बाकी है.
Thank you, Navika. This is absolutely a very, very relevant question. तो जब डिस्क्रिपेंसी फेज 1 के बाद पता चली पब्लिश डेटा में और लेटर पब्लिश डेटा में, तब ही मर्मर शुरू हुआ, और जब फेज 2 और 3 में इट बिकेम अ नॉर्म. सो दैट्स द रीजन फॉर दिस टाइमिंग. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दिस इज द बेस्ट टाइमिंग टू अप्रोच द कोर्ट एंड टू इंटरवीन इन द अफेयर्स. द कोर्ट शुड इंटरवीन इन द अफेयर्स ऑफ द इलेक्शन कमीशन. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट, बट देन ओनली व्हेन द पार्टीज केम टू नो अबाउट इट दे अप्रोच द कोर्ट. बट दैट्स नॉट द इशू. आई, यूजिंग योर प्लेटफॉर्म टुडे, would want to reach out to the people and the politicians of this country and the institutions to do a judicial and a review of the EVM process. EVM has been there for good 20
My friend,
plus years now in
when
India.
the opposition parties win Bengal, when they win Telangana, when they win Karnataka, why don't you want to go to court then? Why do you want to go to courts only now, Shehzad Poonawala? Is this a pattern that even the public of India has now begun to laugh at?
You know, it is a two-pronged strategy. One is that to try and besmirch the good reputation and name of every institution. And today the world is celebrating Bharat's Loktantra. But you have to go and give an impression कि भारत में सब कुछ तबाह कर दिया मोदी ने. So देश की मर्यादा, देश की साख को चोट लगे तो उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं. दूसरा, post-poll alibi is required. So therefore pre-poll बहानेबाजी is also required. This pre-poll बहानेबाजी for post-poll alibi. Then they will come on 4th June, Navika, when you call Mr. Ram on the show on 7 p.m. he will tell you, Navika, आपको तो बोला था ना ये ईवीएम में तभी गड़बड़ कर रहे थे, आपने हमारी बात नहीं सुनी, ये गड़बड़ का नतीजा है, ये कोई मोदी थोड़ी जीता है, ये तो गड़बड़ की वजह से.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I only want to end this debate on the issue of, is it right for us to doubt the process when 97 crore people are in the middle of an election and a democracy that has run fantastically over the last 76 years, when questions are raised about it, not just at home, but sows the doubts in the minds of people on global fora? Are we actually weakening our democracy by raising these questions or strengthening it? Well, the Janta, the public of India, will give its verdict on that on the 4th of June. For now, of course, the Supreme Court has found no merit in the doubts after doubts after doubts that have been raised by political parties. What happens next? Well, we'll keep you posted. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.